For years, fans have been asking the question, I'm sure you have been too, who took Grogu from the Jedi Temple? Which then begs the question, what happened to Grogu after Order 66? After thinking about who Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau will choose to snatch the youngling from the Jedi Temple, and polling the community, I have my final theory as to who I believe is responsible for taking Grogu outside the walls of the temple. I do think Palpatine and Grogu will cross paths during Order 66 on Coruscant. Stay until the end of the video to hear my full theory and how it could tie into the Bad Batch Season 2. Let me start by explaining why I don't believe it's Anakin or another Jedi. This community poll indicates 8% of senators think Anakin, or Darth Vader, took Grogu from the Jedi Temple. We're all wondering who is coming through that door in the recent Mandalorian Season 3 trailer. Many speculate it will be Anakin Skywalker, the newly appointed Sith Lord, Darth Vader. But how will this work? We always thought Anakin ruthlessly slaughtered everyone in sight during the siege on the Jedi Temple. It would go against Palpatine's instructions of, do not hesitate, show no mercy, if Anakin spared a life like Grogu's. It's possible Palpatine instructed Anakin to find Grogu and spare his life so he could be experimented on. Or perhaps there is a backstory between Anakin and Grogu that leads Anakin to spare Grogu's life. But I don't think this is likely. Anakin was willing to kill other younglings and his own master to fully turn to the dark side, and I kind of think Anakin may be too obvious. I think Jon and Dave will go a different route, perhaps a Jedi. A majority of senators believe a Jedi is responsible for taking, or even saving Grogu from the Jedi Temple. Names like Mace Windu, Jocasta Nu, and even Quinlan Vos have been thrown out as possibilities. It's fair to assume a Jedi took Grogu from the temple. They were at the Jedi Temple after all. But is it really likely? There's a scene in The Mandalorian Season 2 where Ahsoka explains Grogu's past. She says someone took him from the temple, and after that, his memory becomes dark. What are the chances a Jedi takes Grogu from the temple, leading to his memory becoming dark? I mean, does that really make sense? Now, perhaps a Jedi took Grogu from the temple and left him on an isolated planet, where he becomes lonely, leading to his memory becoming dark. One could also assume if a Jedi did take Grogu from the temple, they would stay hidden together and try to evolve into normal citizens of the galaxy. It's likely a Jedi would know Grogu's species was highly force sensitive, and without hiding him on a desolate planet, the Empire would easily find him. Who really knows? I'm just saying, I don't think a Jedi is responsible for taking Grogu from the Jedi Temple. I think a variation of this is possible. Hear me out. We know Grogu has been used as a donor to create what we believe is Snoke. Dr. Pershing refers to Grogu as the child and the donor, noting the Empire will likely not be able to find another being with a higher M count. It's unclear when experimentation on Grogu took place, but I do believe it could have been shortly after Order 66, potentially during the time frame of the Bad Batch Season 2. More on this in a minute. Here is my theory as to who I believe took Grogu from the temple on Coruscant. It could go something like this. Darth Vader and his 501st Clone Army breach a door in the Jedi Temple to find a host of Jedi protecting a group of younglings, including Grogu. When a young Jedi Padawan realizes they will not be able to fight off the Dark Lord, she snatches Grogu and begins to navigate her way through the halls of the Jedi Temple. A squad of troopers chase down the young Jedi as she deflects the blaster bolts raining upon her. She reaches a corridor with other young Jedi desperately trying to evade Darth Vader's slaughter. The young Jedi hides Grogu the best she can, and just as she hides the younglings, the other Jedi ignite their sabers as clone troopers fire upon them. The Jedi perish. Luckily, the troopers haven't found Grogu yet. Palpatine makes his way to the temple with Captain Kagi, Commander Thayer, and a few other shock troopers. Vader kneels before Palpatine, and Palpatine then instructs him to go to the Mustafar system to complete the mission. As Vader departs, a shock trooper, probably Commander Thayer, shouts to Palpatine, "My lord, look what I found." As the trooper lifts a piece of debris off the ground, there lies Grogu. Palpatine takes a deep breath and lets out a dark groan. He realizes this youngling is the same species as the Grand Master himself. He instructs the trooper to take Grogu from the temple, so that experimentation could be done on Mount Tantiss. He had always had a dark plot to capture young Force-sensitive children for research. The trooper takes Grogu from the temple and delivers him into the hands of an Imperial sympathizer, where Grogu is then taken to Mount Tantiss. Now, I like this theory because it's not as obvious as Anakin, a Jedi, Bear's Offie, or Palpatine himself. We could see Anakin in the temple again. We've already seen him return in the Kenobi show, but we may not see the Emperor arrive at the temple. It could be implied after we see a shock trooper taking Grogu from the temple that there was an interaction between Grogu and Palpatine. It would also explain why his life was spared. Anakin hadn't found Grogu. Palpatine did, and Palpatine has plans for Grogu that Anakin may not be aware of. I also have to give a quick shout out to Isaac Rebellion. His comment really got the wheels turning in my brain as to who could have taken Grogu from the temple. It's thought Commander Thyre was actually the shock trooper who pursued Master Yoda after Yoda and Palpatine's duel in the Senate chamber. How interesting would it be if he was the trooper who found Grogu? And what about the Bad Batch Season 2? I think the Bad Batch could rescue Grogu from Mount Tantus at the end of Season 2. Grogu and Omega could have an interaction. But ultimately, the Bad Batch may hide Grogu on a desolate planet so that his Force abilities are not found. This could then lead to the Empire trying to find Grogu again, the hiring of Din Djarin as a bounty hunter, where our story in The Mandalorian Season 1 gets started. A shock trooper taking Grogu from the Jedi Temple is not as exciting as Anakin or Mace Windu, but I think we need to temper our expectations. Regardless, I'm excited to learn more about Grogu's past. Who do you think took Grogu from the Jedi Temple? Check out this recent video where I discuss 5 possible cameos in The Mandalorian Season 3.